Hi, I'm Teacher Tim. Thanks for tuning in. I want to share a few tips with you that may help your teaching experience go a little smoother. The first thing I want to focus on is how to reduce noise in the classroom. Now, often in class, students will be doing things in the background. Maybe they don't have their headset on. Maybe they don't have a headset. Maybe their headset was broken 20 minutes ago, and so now they're left to try to pay attention and hear the teacher and the other students, and it's not ideal. Well, as teachers, we need to really control the environment so that all the students feel like they can hear and they're getting the most out of their learning experience. And so in the beginning of the class, I always remind people, please put your headset on. It just helps reduce the noise so that everybody can participate equally and get the most out of this session. And if I find certain people, students, noise is coming from their side of the class, I will often just mute them, and I will say to the class, if I continue to hear noise, and it's not in a mean way or anything, but if I continue to hear noise, I will just mute you for short periods of time until your next speaking opportunity comes along. And because I follow a very sequential, every person gets to speak one after the other, I will mute that person until their next speaking time. The challenge becomes when it does arrive to them and it is their time to speak, if there's still noise and you can barely hear what they're saying, and this does happen. You can hear people in the background, maybe they're riding their bus while they're studying, they're at work, and so it can be very disruptive because not only as the teacher, it's very hard for you to assess their progress and their grammar, their pronunciation if there's a lot of background noise, but again, it's very disruptive to the other students. And so how that plays against you is if you're not managing that effectively, then the other students may give you a low rating because you're not doing your job to take care of the noise. And so at that point, if there's a lot of noise, I may just give them one more reminder. Can you please, whatever is happening, can you please reduce it? But if it's a circumstance where it's beyond their control, and sometimes people are on the bus and it's noisy, all you can do at that point is request help from IT. And then IT will send them a message, and hopefully it will get taken care of through those channels. But if it doesn't for some reason, maybe IT reaches out to that student and they're still not being accommodating with the noise issue, then all you can do is try to give them maybe a shorter speaking opportunity and then mute them quickly, because the other students will get agitated and you don't want to agitate the other students. A second frustrating thing that can happen for you as a teacher, your classes, your schedule is set, you've put all other priorities aside, family, friends, what have you, vacation plans, and you know that your classes are coming up, and then you get in the class and maybe your internet is not working great. So you're thinking, oh geez, here we go. I was so ready for these classes, and now I'm probably gonna get switched out because my internet, the students' internet, there's just not a good connection. And when there's not a good connection, it's virtually impossible to teach properly and effectively. And so this happened to me recently, actually. The internet connection was very poor. There was a lot of echo and delay. I could barely hear the student. They could barely hear me. And so you reconnect a few times, you reconnect the session. Hopefully that fixes it. If it doesn't, it got to the point where I even said to the IT person who was helping, I said, I'm going to reboot my computer. And I knew that, sometimes when you reboot your computer, it takes longer to restart and you risk that 3-minute window of getting back into the classroom. But at this point, it had already been about 15 minutes in the class. Myself, the student, IT trying to resolve the issue, it still wasn't resolved. So I knew there was a very good chance at this point that I was going to be switched out and another teacher would be brought in. And so I wrote a message in the chat to the IT person, just said, I'm going to restart my computer. They said, okay, please be quick, otherwise you'll get switched out. And so I did, and it did take longer than 3 minutes. And so I was switched out, which was fine. As a teacher, you just have to come to acknowledge and understand that sometimes these things are going to happen. Sometimes you're going to be sitting in a class for 15 minutes and thinking, geez, I should be getting paid for this time. But the reality is that you're not going to be, and that's sometimes that's just an issue that's going to come up, that it's going to affect your ability to continue making money. But obviously, the first and foremost important thing is that the student who has paid for that session gets a quality teaching experience. And so if that can't come through you, then that really needs to come from a teacher who's on standby, who can take the session over and then give you time to fix your internet issue. And what I did, I had to go reboot my server and everything, and it was fine after that. But at least it gives you a little bit of time before your next class to kind of calm down, make sure everything is working properly, and continue teaching the students.